Well, good morning, Mr. Lynch. You're the Assistant Commander for the Public Works in NAVFAC. And just starting this off, we're just wondering how you see the shore infrastructure energy team really supporting the warfighter out there.
Well, that's a great question, and thanks for asking that, because I think that's one of the things that we do every day, all day long. We provide support directly to the ships, submarines as they come into port, and we're giving them shore cables and allowing their crew to take a break, right? So they come back and they need that time to get away from the plant, and they can turn off the engines and go home for a little bit. And certainly for the airplanes, when they come in, they're getting ready to launch on their next mission. They need to be energized and powered up before they're going. We do a lot of work at the shipyards and making sure that those systems are operational as their ships are in repair. So, and that includes not only just the direct operational airplanes and ships and submarines, but the hospitals, the training facilities, the barracks, every place that we're connecting electricity to a building or where people are working. That's what we do, and it's a constant effort for us to do. We got a lot of infrastructure that got to maintain. Some of it is pretty fragile and pretty old, but again, it's doing what it needs to do, and that's the challenge. So that's good. I think we do it every day, all day.
In light of the White House executive order wanting carbon-free energy in electric vehicles, how do you see that impacting the public works under your command, sir?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that for my objective, we want to make sure that that's transparent, right? So the warfighter doesn't see a difference between the service that we're providing, whether it be carbon-free or not. They need to make sure they've got the energy to do those things that they need to do to take the fight to the enemy. So our job is to make sure that when we're doing these transitions, it's painless, it's not noticed. We're going to do a lot of things, though. I think the executive order is very challenging. It raises the bar pretty high for some of these things. A zero carbon emission is a pretty big test for electrical generation. That's completely renewables. That's solar. That's wind. That's hydrothermic energy. I got that wrong, but hydro. Help me out.
Kinetic.
Falling water.
Yeah,
hydraulic energy is a pretty big deal. So and some of that could be. Not only just geothermal, like we think about the COSO plant, but there's a lot of other geothermal options that are out there. We can use some shallow heat pumps that will allow us to pull water from lower saline water that you can't really drink anyway. It's not potable, but it has the temperature that we need to either pre-cool or preheat a building. So we have some of those in places that you wouldn't really think about. You go out to the observatory, and there's some of those shallow heat pumps, and you'd think, well, that's weird. And even here on the Navy Yard, we've got some of those as well. So a lot of things that we're going to have to do to up the game and make sure that we're doing the zero carbon emission activities. And then on the transportation side, there's a lot of work that's going to be done there. So by 2027, we're going to be buying all new electric vehicles. So that's the medium and light duty vehicles, not necessarily the cranes and the the front end loaders and things, but certainly all those things that you see around the base that are the government vehicles, the vans, the pick 'em up trucks, and all those kinds of things. They're going to be electric, and because it's got to be a zero emission transportation asset, and there's not a lot of those that are out there. Industry has to kick it up too. They've got to produce more of these. We went to GSA this year and asked for 600. They said we can provide you 300. Yeah. That's a challenge for us because we still need to replace 600 vehicles altogether. So 300 of them are going to be electric. What do? Do we extend those other internal combustion engines for another year or two or three? Creates a bow wave for other challenges on the transportation side. So those are big decisions, and it sounds kind of simple. Well, you just defer the procurement for a year. Yeah, but you don't have the money the next year. So there's all kinds of challenges with that. But again, the opportunities to work with other agencies, Department of Energy, OSD across the board is heavily involved in this. The White House has CEQ helping us out with some of these ideas too. There are some resources that have been available through OSD at the Cape level. So, a couple million here, a couple million there. We're getting some studies done that are going to be helpful and some equipment that's going to be really helpful too. So the electrification of the assets is not an easy thing. It's one thing to get a lot of electric vehicles, but if you can't charge them, that's no helpful either, right? So we got to put that infrastructure in place, and those charging structures When you get enough of it in place, all of a sudden now you've got a new demand. So do we have enough electrical capability on the base? Do we have to get new feeders coming in from the local utility company? All those kinds of things are challenges that are coming up too. But again, I think it's an exciting time, and these are neat things to do. Citizens of the world, all of us, and so we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing, by not only just the Navy and the mission, but the nation across the board. And the President's made it clear that this is a matter of national security, and we've got to be on board, right? So that's what we're doing every day.
One final question for you, sir. Do you have any comments for the energy and utility professionals under your command out there?
Well, it's not really my command; it's just my directorate.
Yeah,
but certainly, and I try to say this as much as I can, that everybody's an energy professional, right? Because everybody can turn off a light switch. And part of this Energy Month, Awareness Month, is to make sure that we're doing the right thing for conservation. We're doing the right things for getting the word out to everybody to know what is important for the utilities and energy. I'm dying here. So, but anyway, I think that the opportunities out there for not just our energy professionals, but everybody to contribute. If you see something that's not right, you see some lights that are on all the time, and there's nobody in the building, let somebody know. But our energy professionals are doing wonderful work across the enterprise. They're doing some great things at big projects. Some of the things that they're doing in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, PMRF, to do that whole base, to take it off the grid. Having that capability is great. We've got smart grid kind of rolling out. That'll help us look at things like AMI meters, and where we've got some anomalies on energy use in a building or a sector of the building or the sector of the base. So that's another way that we can use that technology to learn and to adapt and to do the right thing to save or reduce and do the right thing on energy use. We have microgrids now that are coming in place. We've got commercial grade batteries in certain locations. We've got some places where we've got renewable energy, solar fields and things that are connected up to batteries, so we can do some of the microgrid capabilities. Those are pretty exciting, and that's really what's going on, outside of our fence line too. And we're kind of leading the charge in some areas, and that's really great. We've got Marine Corps has got things in Albany. We've got some things in Southern California too with the microgrid in California. And again, that was one of those opportunities where they had a really big heat wave in California. They had some really high peak demands, and they needed some way to reduce some of the demand. So we could use some of that microgrid and some of that energy storage to clip some of our high peaks on our demand. And so that was really helpful to Southern California Edison. So we got some kudos for that just by exercising and using the equipment and things that we had in place. So that's a great success story. I know Secretary Berger was pretty excited about that, so we took some that was really great. And that's the kinds of things, we're citizens of the world. We work together with our local communities. We have to do this together. And that was a really good example. I think PMRF is going to have the same thing. The island of Kauai doesn't have a whole lot of energy, and if we can reduce that peak demand, that they don't have to create more power generation, that helps for the island. So that's a great thing. So I would thank all of those energy professionals that are out there working these creative things. They're being bold, coming up with new ideas, trying to harness and take advantage of third-party financing opportunities that are out there, utilizing some of the things from the Department of Defense and trying to take advantage of whatever resources streams that are out there. So I think it's great. These guys are doing great work out there in the field, and I really appreciate everything they're doing every day.
Well, we thank you very much for your time, sir, for taking out this beautiful afternoon. And also, in behalf of Energy Month, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Thank you.